Hi, Robert Chuckrow here. Any motion of, let's say, the hands can be broken down into two components, a vertical component and a horizontal component. And by looking at motion this way, we can understand it better to be able to do it more naturally, because these two components of motion are different and require a different understanding. And so in this video, I'm going to break things down, and that should help you to be able to do movement, any movement in Taiji, more naturally. Let's look at the horizontal component of a motion. The simplest one to look at would be the movement, the horizontal movement in the arm, in the single whip when we make the bird's beak. So if I am practicing that move, well, first of all, I have to use some strength to keep my arm from falling. So I have to use expansive strength, not ordinary strength, and just the minimum. The reason for expansive strength in Neijin is that ordinary strength would bind my shoulder and restrict the movement. So I have to be very, very loose in the horizontal direction. Very loose, my shoulder's free to move very easily. And I have no opinion about how far out the arm should move, about its speed, other than what I do with respect to the timing of the shifting and turning of my hips. I'm regulating that to drive the movement and to time it so that it maximizes the effect. So that's in a way non-action, because I'm not making it move. This is making it move. Okay? I'm not doing that. Let's take the vertical direction. If my arm is hanging, I don't have to use strength because the shoulder is supporting it. But as I lift it up, I have to put more and more strength in to neutralize gravity. And when I lower the arm, it also has to have strength, because otherwise we'd just fall. So if I'm doing a movement like the one in cloud hands, it's doing those things with my hips that I mentioned, the timing and the driving of the movement. But I'm doing that because I want to get the maximum swing, so I use the least amount of strength. But as the swing runs out, I have to supplant that with more strength. And so I'm regulating the strength that's necessary just to the right degree to keep my arm in that motion. It could be in the other direction too, as in brush knee. So that to me is natural movement, not choreographed movement where I do cloud hands this way and make my hands move. How can I be convinced that I'm on the right track when I look at it this way? Well, one is non-action is one of the most basic principles in Taiji, and the use of Neijin as opposed to ordinary strength. But also we can appeal to the self-defense aspect of Taiji, and that is the underpinning of the art. And even if you don't think of the self-defense part when you're practicing the form, and I generally don't either, even though I've been exposed to the self-defense in my studies, I look at that aspect of it because it affirms or rejects what I'm doing. So for example, if I were to need to strike somebody who's over here because they're attacking me and I need to protect myself, if I do this and move my arm that way, that's not going to work. Or even if I move my whole body as a unit with everything moving together, that's not going to work. It's too slow. As fast as I try to do that, that's too slow. But the opponent would recognize that, be alerted, respond to it, and nullify it. Instead, what I need to do is this, and this is the way of striking in Taiji called fajin. So the person's over here. Instead of even turning toward him, I just strike that way. See? Now, during the arc of my arm, I'm as relaxed as can be. It's coming from inside. I'm not using my arm to do it. At the end, I have to firm it up so that it has an impact. And that is in all the movements, which are self-defense movements. To test whether it is appropriate or not, we can look at this, at the self-defense aspect, and see if that's consistent. Thank you.